Welcome back to Beneath the Cobblestones, Prague's darkest secrets. This is the series finale. There's something about Prague, a place where the streets remember your footsteps, where walls seem to hold their breath as you pass. It's a city built on stories, both told and untold. Over these past 4 episodes, we've chased the shadows that cling to its corners. And tonight, we arrive at its beating, blood-soaked heart. This is Charles Bridge, the crown jewel of Prague's skyline, and perhaps its most cursed landmark. A bridge built on pride and prophecy, stained by centuries of sorrow. Some say the bridge doesn't just witness tragedy, it hungers for it. This is the city that eats the broken. It was the 14th century. King Charles IV, a man of vision and superstition, demanded a bridge that would outlast him, one that would tether Prague's old town to its rising quarters across the Vltava. Construction began in 1357, on July 9th at precisely 5:31 a.m. A moment chosen by royal astrologers for its perfect numerology. A palindromic sequence of numbers, because when you rule both men and myth, you hedge your bets on both. They say the workers mixed egg yolks into the mortar to strengthen the stones, the quaint, wholesome legend. But in the darker retellings, whispered in taverns and told by the elderly to wide-eyed children, there's another ingredient: blood. The blood of prisoners condemned to death, their final contribution to a city that never truly lets go of the dead. From its earliest days, Charles Bridge wasn't just a way to cross a river. It was a public theatre of control, a stage for hangings, drownings and beheadings. Heads of executed men and women, rebels, thieves, traitors, were mounted on spikes lining the bridge like grotesque gargoyles. Their empty eyes turned forever toward the city they left behind. But blood dries, heads rot, and yet the bridge remained a keeper of grief. Fast forward to the 20th century. A new empire rose, one built not on monarchs but on paranoia. During the Cold War, Charles Bridge became infamous for a quieter kind of death, a long, almost ritualistic string of suicides, dissidents targeted by the secret police, lovers tangled in forbidden affairs, men and women crumbling under the weight of isolation. They came to the bridge in the small hours, when fog clung low to the cobblestones and the river shimmered like liquid slate. Some left letters, others left nothing, and some simply disappeared into the mist. Police records coldly labelled them as unrecovered persons, bodies lost to the dark, unyielding current of the Vltava, as though the city itself had swallowed them. Locals began to say the bridge was no longer just a passage, but a predator. The old folk whispered of nights when the air would grow so thick with sorrow it felt like a hand on your chest, that the fog itself seemed alive, curling in shapes that looked like figures, like faces watching, waiting. One such story belongs to the Wandering Man. In the late 1800s, a scholar, name long forgotten to history, fell into scandal, betrayed by his lover, mocked by his patrons, disowned by his family. On a freezing November night, he threw himself from Charles Bridge. Days later, he was seen again. Townsfolk claimed he wandered the bridge at dawn, soaked to the bone, his eyes slick with river water, silent, pale, staring ahead. Over the years, more claimed to have glimpsed him. Always before great misfortune struck the city, a plague, a war, a death. Mediums say he isn't alone, that Charles Bridge is thick with restless souls, the executed, the drowned, the broken-hearted, apparitions that linger where their final moments once bled into stone.
There are places on that bridge, spots where you can't breathe, where the air wraps around your throat. I felt it, that heaviness, a sadness you carry home with you. The stones remember, and they hold on.
And then there's Emil Novak. In 1967, a quiet, obsessive Czech painter who became consumed by Charles Bridge. In a single year, he painted it over 50 times. At first, his canvases were like postcards, sunrises, lovers kissing, boats gliding under its arches. But slowly, things changed. Dark shapes began to appear, faceless figures, shrouded men in long coats, eyes floating in the mist, paintings of bodies half submerged in water, staring up at the moon. The bridge itself warped in his works, bending unnaturally, sprouting gallows, bleeding black ink into the sky.
He told me the stones hummed at night, that the bridge spoke to him, said things no man should hear, that it showed him faces in the fog.
One misty evening, Emil vanished. No letter, no farewell. Only his sodden sketchbook found floating downstream days later. Its final pages filled with frantic drawings of a single figure, a cloaked man standing at the edge of Charles Bridge, the exact spot Emil was last seen. Since then, people claim to see him too, painting at the rail, staring into the black water, or simply watching. Today, Charles Bridge remains beautiful. Tourists flood its span, selfies are snapped, artists sell cheap portraits, but even now, psychics, mediums and those sensitive to the other side report strange sensations, sudden nausea, ears popping, cold gusts on clear nights, cameras that won't work, photographs that catch blurred figures where no one stood, a bridge that feels alive.
I was laughing with my friend, and then out of nowhere I just started crying. Couldn't breathe, like this wave of sadness hit me. I don't even know why.
Prague is a city that remembers. It folds its tragedies into alleys and cathedrals. It lets them linger under windows and in empty courtyards. And no place does this more completely than Charles Bridge. It is a place where beauty and grief exist in the same breath, where the dead never truly leave, where sorrow seeps from stone, and sometimes, if you listen in the fog, it whispers your name. This has been Beneath the Cobblestones. Thank you for walking these haunted streets with me. And remember, some cities bury their broken, but Prague, it eats them. Before we go, there's one more thing. Locals say that if you cross Charles Bridge alone after midnight on the winter solstice, you'll feel a hand brush yours. Cold, wet. If you turn, you'll see no one. But if you keep walking, you might hear footsteps fall in time with yours. They say it's the wandering man, or maybe someone else, maybe someone you left behind. Sleep tight.